Hypotenuse part 2. So now we start with a quadratic equation, and we want to solve these by factoring. So how do we break this up? If you saw in the last video, I actually broke this up, and I had it as 2x squared plus something x plus something x plus 6 equals 0. And then we factored by grouping. The question is, how do we split these x's up? We have to add together to be 7x to keep this the same. So the key to this is we want to find what two numbers go here. Here's the key, is find two numbers that multiply to be a times c. And if you look at your notes here, I'll even talk about it. It has the steps right in. So the first thing you need to do is find the number that multiplies to be a times c and adds to be 7. So if you look here, 2 times 6 is 12, okay, and adds to be 7. That's how we split these x's up. That's not what it factors to be, it's just how we start our first step to split these x's up. All right, so since this is positive, these are both going to be positive. We got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. You probably could do this in your head. So here's the very first step. Okay? So if I added this, I would combine my terms, I could be back to my original. Once I do that, now it's just like the video before. I'm going to underline the first two terms, underline the second two terms, I'm going to factor by grouping. So in this case, so they both have an x in common. I have a 2x left here. So I took the one x out. Here I have a 3. Over here, these both have a 2 in common. So I have a 2x left here plus 3. Oh, and now you'll see we both have 2x plus 3's left over. I can take that out. So in this video, we're working our way down, but the main new thing is how to figure out how to split up the x's so it factors by grouping. And now we still have an ending. Okay, the very last step, if you'll see, sort of cut off, is set each of these equal to 0 and solve. So if I want to solve this now, not just factor it, so solve by factoring, is I set each factor equal to 0. So here I subtract 3 from both sides. So I get 2x equals negative 3, or x equals negative 3 halves. And then here, this should just be x equals negative 2. All right, so that is the key part of this video, is how to split up these x's. All right, in this case, we got p's. And I think I labeled this as an x on your paper, just fix that. So example 8. So what I want you to do is we need to split this up. And if you want this something p and something p, how do we split this up? What goes here so we can factor by grouping? Okay. You need a hint. Remember, a times c and adds to b negative 4. All right, so pause the video, figure out what values go here before we do by grouping. All right, so a times c, 3 times 1, which is 3. So I know this is a negative, and they must multiply it, so they're both negatives. And this is the only thing that multiplies be 3. Let me add b negative 4. So this would be negative 1. This is negative 3. All right, if you take a look here, the only thing you can factor out of these is a p. Oh, sorry. Underline the first two, underline the second two. And when I do this, the only thing I can take out of these first two is a p. So I'd have a 3. Sorry. I'd have a p left here. So I took 1 out. And over here, this would just be minus 1. Right, this is a tricky one. What can I take out of these two terms? The only thing I can take out, anytime the first term is a negative, you want to factor it out. So now when I do that, that becomes positive. Negative divided by negative is going to be a negative 1. And now look at, I have 3p minus 1s in both terms. So it's just like our previous video. Take them out. And there's my factored form. Okay, set them each equal to 0. Add 1 to both sides, so 3p equals 1. So p equals 1/3, and p equals 1. All right, in this video, this will be the last example I show you. And then after that, you can get started on your homework. If you feel like, hey, I've got this down already, go ahead and get started on your homework. All right, problem 9. So first thing I need to do is I need to split these up. So I get 6p squared plus blank p plus blank p. So you can figure out what the 19 turns into, plus 10 equals 0. erase this. So go ahead and figure out what goes in the blank, and then unpause the video, and you can actually try to finish the problem, then come back and check it. So it multiplies to be 6 times 10, 60, adds to be 19. I can do that in my head, I hope. Let's see, 15 and 4. Adds, multiplies to be 60, adds to be 19. If you need to make your list, go ahead. Okay, so that's what goes here. So 6p squared plus 4p plus 15p plus 10 equals 0. Okay? Underline the first two terms, underline the second two terms. 2. So here I can take both a 2 and a p out. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 1p left, and then 4 divided by 2 is 2. Over here, these both have a 5 in them, so I can take 5 out of both. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Oh, look, they both have a 3p plus 2. So let's take that out. And then what I have left here is 2p. Here I have plus 5. Okay. So final step, set these equal to 0. Okay, so this would be p equals negative 2/3, and this would be negative 5/2. All right, so you learned two things. You really learned how to factor when a is not 1, and you don't have a factor to take out of all these to make it 1, and then you finished by solving. So that'll be the 5.0 on Friday's quiz. So go ahead then and turn to the next page, and you have 8 problems, but I think only 4 of them are going to be where you're actually factoring. The other ones they already have it set up here, and just do your grouping part. So, and then if you have any questions, please ask.